Welcome back to Powered by Primus, and in today's video we're going to be going over a Wave 2 update, including showing off a new combiner. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So the new combiner that we have is Menasor, the Menacing Colossus. Now this is the Stunticon's combiner, and I am extremely happy that he has made it into it. Now let's get into the character. He is a melee character, which is going to give us access to things such as Power Sword and Body Armor, which we're going to talk about specifically later on. He's got 6 attack, 35 health, and 2 armor. His ability says Bold 1, Tough 1, and Pierce 1. It also says you may play an extra action on each of your turns, meaning not 1 like the normal, but 2, and including even if you play other stuff that allows you to get extra actions as well. Those would still stack, but this guy himself just gives you access to 1 more action on each of your turns, which is really powerful. The last part about it says that when this is combined, you draw 2 cards. So on the turn that you do play the Enigma, get this out, you do get to draw those 2 additional cards. Now Menasor does have 6 attack, which is pretty average, and does have 2 armor, which I think is really good, and is definitely going to be a highlight of the deck that we're going to talk about here in just a second that really I feel is going to benefit around all these characters. The next thing is that he has Bold 1, Tough 1, and Pierce 1. So if you are new to the game, Bold 1 means that he does get to flip 1 more card when attacking, Tough 1 means he gets to flip 1 more card when defending, and then Pierce 1 means that out of the damage that he does, at least 1 damage is guaranteed. So also being able to play an additional action on each turn is going to be really relevant, and is going to be a great card. Now granted, you're obviously going to be building your deck to be really action packed, with no pun intended, having tons of actions to be able to really push this guy to his maximum. In addition to that, when you do combine him, you get to draw 2 additional cards. So it has a lot of synergy inside of itself, allowing to give you more cards to really get to use that playing 2 actions per turn. The last thing we're going to talk about with Menasor is that he is 25 stars. It is obviously 5 characters that combine to make Menasor, meaning that each character that we're going to see is going to be a 5-star character. One thing to note about that is that they can be used in other decks as well, which is going to be really fun. So let's get into those characters. The first character we're going to be looking at is Dead End, and the first thing that I saw when I immediately looked at this character was that it is a Decepticon car. Decepticon cars have obviously not been that relevant. We only have the one, which is Deadlock, so, you know, this will be really nice that Decepticons are getting more cars. It is arranged while in its car mode and while it's in its bot mode. In car mode, it has 2 attack, 7 health, and 2 armor, and it says Tough 1, which means it gets to flip 1 more when defending. If you flip it over to its bot mode, it has 3 attack and 1 armor, and says when you flip to this mode, you get to draw a card. Now the Tough 1 while it's in car mode is going to be actually really good, and we're going to get into that later on, because like I said before, I definitely feel that there is a very specific deck that these characters and this combiner is really built around. But also when you get to flip over into its bot mode, you get to really benefit and draw that additional card. Where you saw in Menasor previously that he allows you to draw 2 cards when you combine into him, and he really wants you to be playing multiple actions in a turn, and this is going to really help keep your hand stocked for when you do get to that point. And the next character we're going to be showing off is Motormaster. I am super excited for this character. It is obviously the Stunticon leader. It is also a truck. Now, I'm really excited because now Decepticons are going to have another truck, obviously, other than Nemesis Prime, and then this character comes in at 5 stars. Not to mention all of its stats and its abilities are great, so let's get into it. It has 2 attack, 8 health, and 2 armor while it's in its truck mode. It has 3 attack, obviously 8 health, and 1 armor while it's in its robot mode. But it says while it's in its truck mode, your other characters can't take non-attack damage from your opponent's cards. That is going to be a really awesome ability. It's going to be able to stop things such as Bolt of Lightning coming out in the next set, One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall, Plasma Burst, Zaps, all of that stuff. Even things such as Armed Hovercraft, if your opponent's running them, is going to be able to put a stop to this. Now, if you flip over into its bot mode, it says if this would defend, instead you may choose one of your other Stunticons to defend instead. Now, I do absolutely love the synergy behind this card, especially how when he's in his truck mode, he really prevents any of your other characters from taking any of that direct damage, but then while he's in his bot mode and your opponent goes to attack him, if you are worried that he's going to go down and he's not going to be able to defend himself properly, you can have one of your other characters defend. But that also means that you get to protect him, even if that other character is going to die, it's going to be able to keep your Motor Master alive. The other benefit behind this is that you're going to be able to put this character out there more often. Even if this character is tapped and your opponent is going to choose to attack him, again, you get to change it to another character. That also is a really cool ability because upgrades. That way you don't have to necessarily upgrade this character with, let's say, something such as a reinforced plating you put on one of your other Stunticons. When they attack your Motor Master, your other character gets to defend, which means that their Tough 2 is going to trigger and they're going to be able to have a better chance to protect Motor Master. I think this card is an awesome character. Again, it is a truck, which is really cool. And then in its bot mode, it is a melee, which is going to be able to give us, again, access to that power sword and to that body armor, which we're going to get to, I promise, later on. The next character we're showing off is Breakdown. Breakdown is a car, which again is another Decepticon car, which is really cool. It has some great synergy with this deck, and then is a specialist. While in its innate car mode, it has 2 attack, 7 health, and 2 armor, and has the ability that says when this attacks and you flip at least 2 blue battle icons, this gets +2 attack until end of turn. If you flip over into his bot mode, he has 2 attack and 2 armor as well, with no ability. Now, I don't really think, other than flipping for the necessity of it, that you're going to be spending a lot of time in this car's car mode. Now, I really think that this ability is going to be extremely powerful. And I don't know if you've seen the combo yet, but you can already tell that this is going to be a heavy blue deck that's going to really benefit all of these characters. Again, we're going to get into a breakdown of a deck here in just a moment, but it really just goes to show that even running heavy blue, that when this attacks, it's still going to be gaining +2 attack. It's going to equal out to flipping 2 oranges when you're flipping 2 blues. And I think that ability is really powerful, and I'm really excited to see this guy in action. The next character is Decepticon Dragstrip Cutthroat Warrior. Again, another Decepticon card, which is really awesome, and a melee character. While it's in its car mode, it has 3 attack, 7 health, 2 armor, and says when this attacks and you flip at least 1 orange and 1 blue battle icon card, you get to draw 2 additional cards. Now this just follows a lot of the same synergy we've been talking about before about drawing additional cards to always keeping your hand restocked, protecting these characters, and being able to get ready for Menasor, which is going to be super awesome. Now when you flip over into his bot mode, it does swap over to ranged, has 4 attack, 0 armor, and has Pierce 1. Now this is the heaviest hitting of all the Stunticons, and then having that Pierce is going to be able to make sure that you're just getting a little bit of damage at a time. This character is going to be pretty awesome. The last character is Off-Road All-Terrain Soldier. Again, it is a Decepticon truck, which is awesome. It is a melee in both modes, has 2 attack while in truck mode, and 3 armor. It also says when an enemy car attacks, you get to deal 1 damage to it. Now, I do think that this ability is pretty cool. I don't really think that it's going to be proccing a whole lot. The one advantage to this card I do want to note is that if you do have Motor Master tapped, your opponent does choose to attack, and let's say it is a car that's attacking Motor Master, you can choose to have Off-Road defend. When you do that, then that character would take 1 damage, and then you would also get the added benefit of this having more armor. If you flip over into his bot mode, he's got 3 attack and 2 armor. It's just the opposite of what it is in truck mode, and says when you flip to this mode, you get to repair 1 damage from this. Now again, the benefit is if Motor Master is being attacked, you choose to have Off-Road be your defender, you can maybe deal the 1 damage to that character, but even if this character happens to take 1 or 2 damage, you can just flip it into its robot mode, heal damage from it, and just begin the process all over again. Now these two here, Dead End and Off-Road, are definitely going to be your primarily defender characters in the bunch, seeing as how Dead End does have Tough 1 and Off-Road does allow you to heal damage from the character itself. These are the ones that I believe that you're going to be trying to put cards such as Body Armor and Reinforced Plating on to really help keep alive. Now I'm sure you're wondering how we're going to be able to get Menasor out, and that is the Enigma card. And just like the previous Enigmas and my guess for the future Enigmas, they are all going to have that green battle icon. This is an action and says if you have Menasor on the battlefield, draw 2 cards. If you have 5 Stunticons in bot mode on the battlefield or in your KO area, combine them into Menasor, Menacing Colossus. A combiner begins untapped, has all damage from the combined characters, and keeps 1 upgrade in each slot. Again, meaning if you do have a weapon on one character and an armor on another one, and a utility on a third character, even on a second character, all of those cards can carry over into its slot. However, if you do have 2 weapons out, you can only carry over 1 weapon, so on and so forth. The other thing to know about this card is that on the turn that you play this to combine Menasor, you do not get the draw 2 effect off of the Enigma. However, you do get to draw 2 off of Menasor coming into play, so it's not really a big deal. The other thing to note is that Menasor says that you can play an additional action on each of your turns, so if you happen to have 2 of these Enigmas, then you can play a second one right away and then draw 4 cards off of Menasor coming in and off this Enigma. I absolutely love Menasor as a character. I think there is so much synergy with the character, and I think there's going to be a lot of power behind the character. So I wanted to talk about some of the cards that I feel like are going to be able to get placed right into that deck and go from there. The first 2 cards I want to talk about here are Reinforced Plating and Body Armor. Now, I know Body Armor is an orange battle icon. We've talked about how this can be heavy blue, but it does give tough 3 to a melee character, and we do have 3 different Stunticons that are all melee. Giving them tough 3 is going to be really awesome. Reinforced Plating is obviously a blue battle icon, is going to give tough 2 to any of the characters that you do upgrade it to. The other slight advantage to Body Armor and some other cards I'm going to get into here in just a minute is that because it is an orange battle icon, it's going to really be able to help Dragstrip be able to get his ability that says when this attacks and you flip an orange and a blue, draw 2. The next 2 I want to talk about are ways to get a little bit of damage in. First one's going to be Leap into Battle. It's obviously a blue battle icon giving us +3 attack. However, the bigger they are is going to be an awesome addition to the deck. It is a blue battle icon. It gives +2 attack, but it gives Pierce 4 if the character is attacking another character that has more stars. Seeing as how all 5 of these characters are only going to have 5 stars, you are most likely going to be always attacking someone that has a higher star count, unless obviously you're going up against another 5-star character or another combiner other than Volcanicus, whose all characters are way higher in star count. But you're going to be able to proc that quite often, and even if you do go up against something else that's comparable in stars, it still is a +2 blue battle icon card. And another great way to get in damage with a blue battle icon card is obviously going to be Energon Axe. This card has always been amazing. I think it'll always continue to be amazing, giving +3 attack, blue battle icon, and giving Pierce 2. Now, the next card I'm considering having in the deck is going to be Multi-Mission Gear. Yes, it's an orange battle icon, but it's going to be able to help with Dragstrip, and we can put it on Breakdown. And it says when you do play it on a specialist, you get to play 1 additional action. Now, this allows us to play an additional action early on in the game before we indeed fact get Menasor out. Plus, it does give 1 armor to the character as well, so that might help them last a little bit longer. Now, the next 2 that I want to talk about is going to be Start Your Engines and Power Sword. Now, Start Your Engines is a pretty interesting one, but seeing as how we have 3 different cards in the deck, it's going to allow us to be able to flip those characters and then untap them. It might make for a huge difference, but I'm not quite sure yet how it's going to fit. The other one that might turn out to be pretty interesting as well, depending on how the deck actually ends up coming out, is going to be Power Sword. There are 3 different melee characters in the list as well, so this is going to be able to give bold 3 and a blue battle icon. The next card that I think is going to be actually really good in the deck is going to be Team Up Tactics. Now, Team Up Tactics is a blue battle icon card and really gets to maximize itself out of this list. Team Up Tactics says that you can choose a truck and repair 2 damage from it, or you can choose one of your cars and draw 2 additional cards. Now, we already know that the synergy for this deck is really high for drawing cards, so being able to draw more is obviously going to be really awesome, but we have cards such as Motormaster and such that are going to be able to heal 2 damage as well. This card is really going to be good in the list, and it's going to be an absolute 3 of in my deck. Now, the next card was a Wave 2 card spoiled by VectorSigma.info. It's a great website if you guys want to better your game and go check out some really cool articles. This card is called Recon System. Recon system has an orange and a blue battle icon, which is always really good. It's an upgrade utility and says when the upgraded character is battling, you flip one more battle card and then you can scrap one of the cards you flipped without using its battle icons. Your team and deck can have 25-star total. You cannot exceed it. This is a 1-star battle icon card and is a rare. Now this card has a crazy amount of stuff going for it, which I think is really cool. It is a 1-star battle icon card again, so you have to remember that you need to leave space in your team if you'd like to include one or more of these cards. Now it is an orange and a blue, which has always been really good cards when you compare them to things such as Matrix of Leadership and Rollout. I think this card is going to have a huge benefit to a lot of characters that are previously already out. And the first one I want to talk about is Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend. Now, I'm never a fan of talking about how to make this character even better, but this card is definitely going to be the card to do it. As we all know, when Battlefield Legend goes to attack, you will flip your cards and get to choose to play an action from it. Well, Recon System is going to allow you to flip one more card, and then you can scrap one of the cards you flipped without using its battle icon, but that allows you to dig one card deeper with Battlefield Legend. The next character that could get a benefit from it is something such as Mirage. You get to flip one more additional card, hoping you get that third white to be able to proc his ability, scrap one of the other cards, that doesn't really matter. But what's going to make this card really cool, and I'm hoping that we can finally build a deck around it, is going to be Shock Absorbers and Cybertronian Bow. I do really see the synergy here. If you notice, on the left side we got a weapon, on the right side we have an armor, and then this card comes in the utility slot. These say that when the upgraded character attacks or defends, and you flip an equal number of blue and orange, each of those cards will add for the other. So if you're attacking with Cybertronian Bow out, and you flip a couple of blues and a couple of oranges, those blues will then add to the attack, and vice versa for Shock Absorbers, where if you flip those oranges on defense and they equal out, then they will equal towards your armor. The fun part about this is that this card is going to be able to allow you to flip one more card and then scrap one that doesn't matter. So let's say you flip 2 oranges and a blue, you'll be able to scrap that orange, or if you need to flip another one, then scrap that first card. Either way, you're going to hopefully be able to get these 2 to proc far more often, and I'm going to definitely try to build a deck around the 3. The next card we're going to talk about is Escape Route. It is a white battle icon and a green battle icon card. It is an action and says you may flip one of your characters from bot mode to alt mode. This thing is going to be pretty good, especially with a lot of combiners and some other stuff that's out there. And it also does give us the definition of the green battle icon, which we already knew before, but here it is officially. It says after each battle, you may swap one card from your hand with one of your flipped green cards. One thing to note is that it is indeed fact after the battle, so there's no fancy tricks where you get to like swap, this in your hand with a double orange if you're attacking, and vice versa on defense, although I think that would be a pretty cool ability down the road. The next card that we have coming in, which I am actually extremely excited to see, is going to be Cornered. Cornered is a green battle icon card. It's an action that says choose an enemy in bot mode. Your opponent flips it to its alt mode. Now, one thing to note about this, and specifically, it says to choose an enemy in its bot mode, so obviously if it's in its alt mode, this card cannot target it. In addition to that, it says that your opponent gets to flip it. So one thing to note is that if you do play this on your opponent's character, they flip their character to their alt mode, and their alt mode has an ability. That ability does trigger. The part that I think is both going to be great and kind of bad about this card is that you get to target your enemy's card to flip. Now what this can do is really set your opponent back a turn, is what it's really meant to do. What it's going to do is allow your opponent to flip it. Yes, they may get an ability out of it, but sometimes it may not be relevant anyway, and now they have to spend yet another turn trying to flip that character back into the correct mode, especially if they're trying to go with a combiner. Well, there you guys have it. There is another Wave 2 update. I hope you guys did enjoy the in-depth conversation about all the stuff coming out and seeing the new combiner. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe for more, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.